Have you ever wondered why a woman can suddenly lose all interest in you, even when you haven't done anything wrong? Here's the truth. It's not about your looks, your money, or your status. It's about what you say. Just one wrong confession, one cursed truth, and within seconds, she no longer sees you the same way. Today, I'm going to reveal 5 things you should never say to a woman. By avoiding these, you won't just keep her respect, but you'll maintain her desire for you forever. Let's get to the point. It starts with the biggest lie we've been sold in recent years. A lie that sounds good in theory, but in practice is pure poison for attraction. We're told that to connect with a woman, we need to be an open book, to show her our wounds, our doubts, our vulnerable side. It's a trap, a well-crafted trap that confuses intimacy with weakness. That's why the first secret, the cornerstone on which everything else is built or destroyed, is this: never confess your deepest insecurities to her. I know what you're thinking, but isn't honesty important? How can she trust me if I don't show her who I truly am? Listen carefully. There's one thing: being honest about your intentions, values, and goals. And there's another: putting the weight of your inner demons on her shoulders. When you say things like, "I'm terrified of not measuring up," or "Sometimes I feel like everything I've built could collapse and I won't know what to do," you're not creating a connection, you're sowing doubt. At that moment, she might hug you, console you, tell you comforting words. But deep in her mind, in that primal place she can't control with logic, you've triggered a red alert. You've shown her a crack in the armor of the man who is supposed to be her rock. And once that image is created, it's almost impossible to erase. She will begin to test you, question your decisions, and wonder if you can really handle the situation. And when real-life challenges hit, money problems, family issues, the future, who do you think she'll turn to for security? The man who admitted his foundations are shaky, or the one who, despite the difficulties, always shows control and direction? This is where someone like Machiavelli would laugh at modern advice. He knew that power and influence aren't just about the strength you have, but the strength others perceive in you. By giving her a map to your deepest fears, you're not being authentic. You're giving away your power. You're granting her, and the world, the permission to doubt you. This doesn't mean you become a robot without emotions. It means being selective, being strategic. Your internal battles, your existential doubts, you fight them in silence, on your own training ground. You tackle them at the gym, lifting weights until your body silences your mind. You write them down in a journal to give them form and understand them. Or you talk them over with a brother in arms, a mentor, someone you trust who has been through the same. But to her, to the woman you want to keep desiring and respecting you, you show the result of this battle: calm, decision, certainty. She doesn't need to see the bloody process of forging the sword. She needs to feel the solidity of its steel when life demands it. So the next time you feel the urge to confide in her, to reveal your darkest fears for a brief moment of relief, stop and ask yourself, what do you prefer? 5 minutes of consolation or a lifetime of respect and desire? What I'm telling you goes against everything you've been programmed to believe. If it resonates with you, if a part of you knows that this is the raw truth no one dares to speak, then you've found your place. Subscribe to this channel, because here we don't give advice on how to please, we give strategies on how to win. Now that we've established the importance of protecting your power, let's talk about another area where women, with disconcerting subtlety, test you the most: your past, your tangible value. There are 2 questions, seemingly innocent, that are actually deadly traps: your past with other women and your financial situation. Let's start with the first one. This question will come sooner or later, usually with a little curious smile. How many women have you been with? Be careful. There is no right answer to this question. It's a labyrinth designed to make you lose. If you give a high number, an alarm goes off in her head. She might laugh it off at the moment, but you've just been categorized as a player. If you give a low number, the alarm is different, but just as harmful. She'll start doubting your value. In both cases, you've lost. You've handed her ammunition against you. The truth is, she doesn't care about the number. What she's interested in is how you handle the pressure of her question. Does she want to test your frame, your security? Do you get nervous? Do you justify yourself? Or do you remain composed, in control of the situation? Now, I want to pause and ask you a direct question. There are two main ways to dodge this question. I want you to vote in the comments. Which answer seems to project the most power and control? A. The mysterious answer with a touch of humor. B. The direct answer that discredits the question. Write A or B in the comments and explain your choice. I want to see which strategy men who truly understand the game prefer. While I'm reading your strategies, let me tell you that the master stroke isn't to lie, it's to deflect with elegance. A response like A, I've had enough experience to know exactly what I'm looking for, projects experience and high standards. A response like B, my past doesn't define our future, establishes a serious frame. Both are valid, but the key is to never give a number. This brings us directly to the second minefield: money. What do you do for a living? Are you doing well? Another seemingly harmless question, a simple conversation, but one that's actually a deep evaluation. And here, the same mistake: being too specific. If you earn little, she might consider you limited. If you earn a lot, her expectations might soar, and you become a kind of human ATM. Machiavelli warned princes never to reveal the exact size of their treasury, because the perception of power influences more than real power. She doesn't need to know your account balance. What she needs to feel is that you're a man with clear direction. Instead of giving a number, give a vision. I do well enough to take care of those I love, and I'm focused on building something much bigger. In the end, your past relationships, just like your money, are just data. But in the game of attraction, data are weapons, and a strategist never gives his weapons to the enemy. We've talked about protecting your value, but there's something even more intimate and dangerous to reveal: the scars others have inflicted on you. In the next segment, I'll explain why telling how you were betrayed in the past is a mistake that transforms you from a warrior in her eyes into a victim. And victims, my friend, no one desires. As I've mentioned, there's a trap that makes a promising man look like a charity case in the eyes of a woman. When you detail how other women have betrayed you, I understand why you do it. It's almost instinctual. You believe that by opening that old wound and saying, "My ex cheated on me," or "They used me for my money," you're being vulnerable in a way that generates trust. You think she'll see your honesty, feel empathy, and say, "I'm not like them. I'll never do that to you." It's logic that seems sound on the surface, but it's one of the worst strategies you can adopt. You're handing your power over on a silver platter. Trust me when I tell you this. The compassion she might feel at that moment is fleeting, but the doubt you plant is permanent. In the court of attraction, you're not presenting yourself as an honorable survivor. You're presenting yourself as a victim. And in a woman's genetic code, the attraction to victimization is practically null. Instead of thinking, "Poor guy, how much he's suffered," her subconscious, that brutally honest animal part that governs desire, wonders. Why were they unfaithful to him? What did they see that I don't see yet? Is there a weakness in him that makes him disposable? She won't tell you this to your face, of course. She'll pat you gently on the back, but the seed of contempt has already been planted. You've changed the frame of the relationship. You're no longer the prize, the solid man she wants to conquer. You've become a project to fix. A woman can love renovating a house, but she doesn't want to rebuild her man. A strategist like Machiavelli would never advise a prince to whine publicly about the conspiracies he's suffered. Can you imagine a king telling his subjects how his generals betrayed him? He would immediately destroy his morale and the perception of his power. Instead, The clever prince learns in silence from betrayal, strengthens his defenses, eliminates threats without making a fuss, and projects an image even more unfathomable than before. He transforms the wound into a lesson of power, not an anecdote to provoke pity. Your past is the same. The betrayals you've suffered are war medals that have made you stronger, wiser, more selective. You wear them in silence and dignity. You don't flaunt them like blood-stained rags. If the subject comes up, if she asks about your past relationships, the strategy isn't to lie, it's to redefine. Don't talk about the pain, talk about the lesson. Instead of saying, "She cheated on me and broke me," say something like, "That experience was essential in teaching me the value of true loyalty. Thanks to that, I know clearly what I won't tolerate and what I'm looking for in a companion." You see the difference? In the first case, you're the man who was hurt. In the second, you're the man who used the fire to forge himself. Your story belongs to you. Every betrayal, every blow is a step up, but only if you choose to use them to climb, not to sit and cry about them. By sharing the drama, you invite her to see you as fragile. By sharing the wisdom derived from the drama, you invite her to admire your strength. We've fortified your mind, your value, and your past. The fortress seems secure, but what about the enemy inside the walls? What about the battles you fight against yourself? In the next chapter, we'll address the most intimate and dangerous secret of all, the map to your current weaknesses. And I'll explain why giving away this map is like handing her the key to your destruction. We've already protected your mind, your value, and your story from external perceptions. There's only one last bastion to defend, the most vulnerable of all, because the enemy resides within. And this, my friend, is the secret that separates the respected men from those who end up empty. The fifth and final secret is the most intimate and thus the most devastating to reveal. Never confess your structural weaknesses, those internal struggles and character flaws you haven't yet overcome. I'm not talking about having a bad day. I'm talking about those raw truths that define you in your current state. Phrases like, "I lack discipline," "I always start things but never finish them," "I can't control myself with food or alcohol," "I'm too lazy to pursue my goals," or "I feel like I can't control my own life." These aren't confessions of vulnerability, they are admissions of powerlessness. It's like opening the door to your castle and showing the invader that your guards are drunk and asleep. The desire to share this comes from a place of understanding. You're seeking absolution. You want her to say, "Don't worry, I love you as you are." You want her to become your ally in your war against yourself. But in doing so, you're making a fatal mistake. You're confusing her role. She's your wife, your companion, your lover. She's not your therapist, your coach, or certainly your mother. The moment you hand her the map to your unresolved flaws, the power dynamic collapses. She may instinctively take on a caretaking role to protect you. She'll start helping, monitoring you, asking if you went to the gym, if you controlled your spending. And even though her intentions may be good, you've just killed the sexual polarity. You've stopped being the man who guides and protects her and become another project, another child to be directed. And be brutally honest with yourself. A woman may feel deep love for her son, but she'll never feel sexual desire for him. Desire requires admiration, and it's impossible to admire a man who isn't in control of himself. Machiavelli's philosophy rests on one fundamental principle. To govern a state, you must first have absolute control over your own domains. A prince who can't quash rebellions in his own palace doesn't have the authority to conquer new lands. You are the prince of your life. Your weaknesses, your addictions, your lack of discipline, these are your internal rebellions. Your duty isn't to go cry to the queen about the chaos in your chambers. Your duty is to close the door, fight this bloody war in private, and only come out when the rebellion is crushed and order has been restored. The work is done in the shadows, so that the results shine in the light. You don't say, "I'm trying to stop procrastinating." One day, she'll notice your business growing, that you wake up earlier, that you keep your word. You don't say, "I want to get in shape." Over the months, she'll see your body change. Actions are the only language of true power. Respect is not asked for. It's imposed through the silent example of self-mastery. A scar is a victory story. An open wound is a sign of current weakness. Learn to tell the difference between the two. You can tell her how you overcame a hardship in the past, because that's part of the scars. But never show her the wound that's still bleeding. Now you understand. These 5 secrets aren't about encouraging lies or falsehoods. They concern the strategic management of power, mystery, and respect. They explain that the most powerful attraction doesn't come from confession, but from mastery. With this knowledge, you are no longer just a player in the game. You have the manual. In the final part, we will assemble all the pieces so that you not only understand the rules, but become the master of the board. The pattern is clear. It's not about lying, but about controlling the narrative. Your power doesn't lie in what you confess, but in what you protect with discipline. A man who masters himself doesn't need to ask for respect. He imposes it in silence. Subscribe to continue refining your strategy. And now, help another man. Write in the comments the best power advice you've learned. Let's turn this section into a manual for those who know how to play. We'll meet at the top.